Greetings, body jugglers. Satek Ananda back again with these two lovely ladies doing certification for body juggling bar, sculpt, and burn. And this is sort of hour two. We're actually at an hour and a half, and so I think we'll do another hour and a half for the first 3 hours. Everything's going great. We've been through a session. Toba did a great job. And so now we're going to break down some of the principles. We're going to focus on the 3 basic principles of body juggling, which are
balance, power, and flow.
And we're going to see how those 3 principles are basically a map to every single movement, every single exercise we do. We use that as the map, as the process. And so we'll go through some of the movements that you've already learned, more from awareness than like do a bunch of reps or whatever. We'll add a few things that you didn't get to do just so you can feel them, but with that process in mind, balance, power, and flow. So before we hop on the bar, what is balance? How do we define balance?
Balance is your center of gravity. It's normally having your physical center over, in this case, a ball. So when you're sitting on the ball, you want to be on the center of the ball and have your center centered on the ball. I know there's a much more easier description of that. But.
There's a lot of words, but it was correct. It was all true. Balance is the equilibrium between any 2 opposing forces. It's that middle point.
The equilibrium of any 2 opposing forces.
Equilibrium between any 2 opposing forces. Up, down, right, left, inside, outside. Balance is that equilibrium in between them. And it is one of my favorite things in the world. Growing up in the circus, I was doing balance stuff at a very, very early age, and it was probably my first experience with meditation. That's where I learned how to focus, and that's what taught me how to train, was learning balance. And balance is absolutely integral. It's absolutely crucial to anything that we want to do with the body. And it has recently been attributed as the 6th sense by medical science.
Really?
So we have 6 senses now, not 5. And the reason is that if a person's sense of balance is off, they can't do anything. Like, they are useless. They have to have someone help them in their life, right? But balance is not composed inside of the 5 major senses. So medical science had to go, look, this is a real thing, and when it doesn't work, people can't function, you know? So balance is more primal than taste. It's more primal than touch. It is the 6th sense. Do you know what 3 systems are used to find balance in the body?
Sight. Smell, touch, I guess? No?
Sort of. You have sight, the vestibular system, which is the inner ear, and it's not hearing, but it's a tube of circles with liquid and a little bone, and it's like the level on a carpenter's thing. The inner ear is hugely responsible for balance, and that's what makes you dizzy if you spin, is all that liquid is going and the whole body still feels like it's moving. Vision, vestibular system, proprioception, which proprioception is not the same thing as touch. This is touch. Okay? Touch is an external thing. Raise your hand softly. That's proprioception. Proprioception is an inner awareness of the position of the body in space, right? In Tai Chi class, I always have everyone raise their hands overhead, close your eyes. How do you know where your hands are? Because I can feel them up, right? I feel them. That's an internal feeling in the body, and it's separate from the experience of touch. So there's 3 major components: vision, vestibular system, and proprioception. And you can train each of those systems individually. You guys started that by closing your eyes. And what did it do to your balance?
Totally threw it off.
Just took 1/3 of the information away. When you start to try and balance with your eyes closed, it's much harder. Once you find your balance, it's much deeper, and it's almost easier to balance with your eyes closed.
Because you've taken away.
You've reduced the amount of information you have to sift through. And as fast as light moves into the eyeball, and as fast as the neurology of the mind, that image is upside down on the back of the eyeball. It shoots through the head. The brain has to convert it upside down. Probably has to convert it another way too because of the hemispheres. You know, now it has to then interpret that. So you're talking about all those steps for what your proprioceptive system does like that. Mm-hmm. Your proprioceptive system feels that shift way before your eyes can see that stuff is moving and then recognize it to correct. But we're so dependent on it, when we take it away, we feel lost. Mm-hmm. Once we get used to it not being there, that proprioception awareness takes over, and it's so much deeper. It's so much more grounded, and you'll be working on that soon. So balance is where every single thing we do starts. It's about feeling, finding the center, and it always comes through feeling. You cannot think your way into balance. You'll see it when you get people in the bar. They'll be doing like this, and they're looking, and they're like, they're waiting to figure it out. Like, I'm going to figure out balance. Here it is. You know, and it's like, no, you can't think your way into balance. Balance comes from feeling. Second is power. How would you define power?
It's a moving force. I'm trying to be succinct.
Not bad.
But I know that's not your definition.
No. Power is the ability to affect change. The ability to do work is power. And force is power actualized. Whereas a battery or chi is potential actualization. It's potential force, right? And so when we inhale, we're gathering energy. And then the exhale, we release it, right? Force is that release. It's that adding. And I'm working on this right now in the manual of like the main principles of what do they call it? The laws of motion. There's a specific word, kinesthetic dynamics or something like that, but the laws of motion, right? Energy can neither be created nor destroyed, only transferred. All power comes from somewhere else. Nothing creates power, we just transfer it. What's the second one? All energy cannot be destroyed or created, only transferred. Every action has an equal and opposite reaction. Right, that's called karma. If I push you, my body is going to experience that push in the exact same capacity. So that's the way force works, is every force creates an opposite force. So your butt is putting force into the ground has to put that exact same force out into you, right? And when we study martial arts, when we're, interacting and whatever, we're not really using that much force or energy from our body, we're pulling it from the earth. And we ground into the earth, and then we can push with a lot of strength because of that connection, because we're moving that energy through us, right? So power is about the ability to affect change, to make changes happen in yourself as well as your environment. 95, 99 maybe % of all methodologies of anything are struggling to master power. That's the goal of most practices. But power in and of itself is not a goal, right? You will never ever get enough power. You will never be satisfied with it. Power is a means to an end. It's a means to accomplish something. But just as potential and as the ability to control, you can never have enough of it. It is not an end. You have to, at some point, release control. And that's where we move into flow. And what would be your definition of flow?
Flow is harmonious movement, effortless movement. It's that.
Interpretive definitions.
Yes.
School would have been so much easier if they'd let us do
right?
interpretive definitions. Flow is the seamless and effortless transition between any one moment and another. Anything that is seamless and effortless is flow. The wind, water, breath, when we're relaxed, you know, like, and the beauty and power of flow is not only that it like feels good, and not only that like it looks good, but it's the natural state of all things. Like everything is flowing. Plants aren't afraid of dying. Plants aren't worrying about where they came from, what their parents think about them. They're just being plants, right? Flow is the state of everything. It's when the mind comes into it and gets fixated on power and needing to control and needing to structure that we invent problems, you know, and we create stress. So flow is, yes, it's beautiful, and yes, it feels good, but even more importantly than that, it's about really learning to exist with the rest of nature, with the rest of the way the universe works. There are no beginnings or endings. There are no stops and starts. Everything is a continuous evolution. And so flow is about learning to embody that endless evolution, that endless effortless growth and expansion in our own bodies and minds. And it comes from letting go of power, letting go of control. But we have to get control in order to consciously let go of it. It doesn't work trying to do it the other way. And all of America's disturbed youth can, you know, attest to that. You have to get control. Then you can consciously release it. And when you consciously release it, it's far easier to accept whatever is there and whatever is happening because you've chosen to allow it to happen. It's not happening to you. It's happening with you, right? And it becomes a part of your dance, a part of your growth, right? So balance, power, and flow, and that's the map we use for every single thing we do. That's the process. We're going to start with feeling our center. We're going to move into our power, controlling things, and then we want to let go of that power. And that's that effortlessness that you felt. As soon as you're in that balance place and whatever's coming through, it's not being controlled, but you're just moving with it. And it's like there's no beginning, there's no ending, there's no start, there's no stop, there's no fear, there's no regret, right? And the more we cultivate that experience, the more we have that experience, you know. And everything we do, of course, is not about the ball and the bar, right? It's whatever we're doing in here, it follows you into your life. And so you learn balance, power, and flow in here, and you're going to feel balance, power, and flow in everything you do, okay? All that makes sense? That was a lot of words. All right, so now we're going to see how those words are actualized, and it's going to make even more sense. And we're going to have an experience rather than a thought. All right, here we go. So you can take part or watch or take notes or whatever makes sense to you. I don't need you demonstrating the same way this time. You can get back on the ball. So I'm going to take you through some of the things you've already done, but this time it's about you understanding what's actually happening, you understanding the methodology that's behind it. Okay? So we started with calibration, find your center, let it go. Balance. Trying to say what balance is really tough, but it's hard to ignore what it is when you try to find it, you try to feel it, and you try to experience it. Calf.
Yeah.
So balance is all about relationship. And in order to find balance, your whole body has to communicate with itself really deeply, really openly.
I'm taking notes, not texting.
Okay. She said she's taking notes, not texting. Good, so that's where we started. Then we moved into power. So hands on the bar, hip rock side to side. That's the beginning of power. Now you're controlling that center. We've established your feeling, we've established your awareness of your center, and now we're going to move it. We're going to Begin to play with it. Good, and then we brought you all the way down to your hip to balance, and balance there. Yeah, not all the way down, no, halfway. Sorry. Yeah, we brought you to right there. That was a prep. Okay, that's increasing the range of power. Oh, right there. Good. Now to increase the range of power even more, we brought you down to the side kick. All the way down, core stays over the center of the ball. Yep, like straight up as high as you can comfortably. Boom. Right? And now here, what did we do here? No. Right, here we go. Balance. I didn't have you come down here and then go back. I had you stay here, right? Balance. Balance there. Balance here. Now come back up. Now we're connecting the two. This is power. Down. Point A to point B. Boom. And up. The ability to change your body from one state to another state is the nature of power.
Okay.
And back up. Okay, that's power. Now, in order to move into flow, I want you to find that pattern you were just doing, but I want you to move through it like there's no beginning and there's no ending. So you're going to come in really softly, and you're going to come out really softly, and you're just going to let it happen as effortlessly as you can. Notice the way the sensation changes. Good. Relax the shoulder more, which is going to mean your core has to stay more over the ball. So when your body has this cantilever tip kind of feel to it, it's going to take much less energy from your shoulders. So you're going too far down there. I'm not stopping you. And this is technique now because I want her to feel flow. And it takes technique to get to flow. Good. So when you're coming into that stop, stop softly. So can you feel that jerk? You're hitting right there, come up. That's really soft there, that stop. Make that down just as soft. And come down, stop, soft, nice. You are. Yeah, you're still going too far that way. Okay, so here's that correction you were talking about. Don't have a name for it. So this is your spine. What you're doing is this. Yeah. Okay. So what everybody does perfectly natural. What we want to do is this, like a cantilever. Let this core here is like your center, and your body is going to rotate around it. Yeah. Nice.
There you go.
Nice. Another thing that helps some people is imagining this shoulder goes straight down to here and back up. This shoulder does not go that way. So, whoosh. Yes. Boom. Good. Good. Let yourself feel that.
Makes sense.
Yeah. Let it be more and more effortless. Always searching for the path of least resistance, because that's how all energy in the universe works. All energy follows the path of least resistance. So we should too. Water, air, electricity, light, sound, everything follows the path of least resistance. Write that one down. Okay. Nice, good. Okay, back to center, and get a few on this side, so you just don't have to be walking in a circle. Start with balance. Come down, find your center.
Why'd you switch?
So she can feel it on the other side too.
Oh, no, sorry. I thought you switched balls. I didn't realize she was on that one the whole time.
All the down the side kick, yep, find your balance. Yep. And now let those ins and outs get softer and softer, and search for how your body can do the movement easier, softer, less effort. Never, ever, ever let yourself get frustrated in your search for flow. That's like getting frustrated in your search for enlightenment. It's not going to help you.
So there's this,
Nice.
and then there's that.
That's what you were doing. And that's
And
what
I
most
don't
people
want me to do that,
No.
so I see now. Okay, so it's just like that.
There you
Yeah.
go.
And the reason is the effortlessness that's created when you stay balanced. That's why.
Good.
I would almost say that you tip your body that way. That's the
If-
feeling I'm
if-
getting, is to tip my body.
Right.
that way.
If you do that, see here, your core is too far on the side of the ball, which is why I don't say that.
On which side of the ball?
This is too far on this side. So what we
So
want
it's a little bit of both.
exactly.
Yeah, people
exactly.
either
So-
tend to go too
so
far that way.
if you tip this way, you're bringing the shoulder out, and you don't want to bring the shoulder out. You want the shoulder to go straight down. Yep. And then your belly button is right there. And you could hold this for 5 minutes right now if you needed to. You have the strength in your body. I can see it. Your mind would be like, I can't stay there for 5 minutes, but you totally can do it. Nice.
When you're closing your eyes, it's
That's the,
Nice.
it's that proprioception.
Mhm. Feeling is deeper and truer than vision.
So I always say, like, accept every
Exactly.
sensation.
I don't remember.
Yeah, that's the problem.
Feeling is deeper and truer than vision. Nice. Okay, so here is one of the things that comes from mastery, that comes from focusing on a lesson. You just did more reps of side kick than you did when we were doing whatever, and you seem less tired now, right? And it's because you were feeling and you were learning. So you weren't thinking about how many you were doing. You weren't thinking about being tired. You were too busy feeling and learning. And that's where all of this movement needs to come from. If people stay in their minds and they're trying to, it doesn't work, and you can feel it in their energy, and you can feel that they're not coming back. Like, you know, it's like I can feel it's not happening. So what we do is we very specifically look for ways to trick people into staying in that feeling space. So that knee wrap up to your knees, or leg wrap up to your knees. You're going to get up to your knees any way you can, doesn't matter how. I'll show you how we did this breakdown. If you try to teach people to wrap around and get up onto their knees, nobody can do it. Okay? But if you start them on their knees and you have them rock onto their hip, okay? So you're going further than you need to there. Shark kept telling you to keep it, come back up. So when we do this hip rock, it's like that, yes, very contained. Okay, so that's where we start, because this movement here, that's where the challenge is for most people. That's where the strength has to be there, and even heavy people can do this movement when they do it technical alignment. Yeah. So we start balance there. Now you're moving into power. We're not only training the physical awareness of the body, keeping your center over the ball, we're training the muscles and the strength they need to pull the body up there. And the point you made about not keeping your butt down low is huge, and heavy people do that more than lighter people, and it makes it so hard.
How can you get your foot under your butt when your butt's stuck?
Well, you need, okay, don't do a lot of them. I just wanted you to see how we started with balance, we moved into power, then once your legs are coming around, then you'll flow. right? And it did get easier and easier. You don't need to do a one right now, but it got easier and easier for you. Where you were struggling was that center. You're doing that big circle, and pop up for me. Doing a big circle, and when your body gets way back here, your body gets way back here, I don't have any leverage. And leverage is an important point, which I haven't started writing about yet in the manual, but leverage is hugely important because leverage is how we exert force, right? So that is leverage. This is leverage. And so when we come back, now we have no leverage. I have nothing I can, except force my knee down because I've done this for a long time. I can get up from there, but that's a really weird muscle right inside the hip bone that I'm using. Whereas if you keep that movement small and contained, the key is pulling the heel into the butt. Everybody's lazy with this and wants to do that. You have to pull that heel under the butt, and then from here, so I've been doing this a long time, and when I do it, I can still feel right there. I can feel in my head, but like a try. So when I'm practicing, I'm looking for that path of least resistance, and I'm feeling. I didn't feel it. I'm searching for how I can do that movement. Didn't feel it that time. Without that catch, without that tension. And that search keeps me connected. And I do way more movement than I would if I was just trying to do rote movement and reps in my mind was somewhere else. And it literally trains you to seek flow. It trains you. Yes.
What trains you to seek flow?
Listening for the path of least resistance. Path of least resistance trains you to seek flow. And when you learn to seek flow in the body, you start experiencing flow in the mind, and then everything the body does. Another example, we did side kick, we did hip rock side, we did hip circles, leg curls to knees, we did drip down. Perfect example, we did plank. So we started balance here. We started to come down, and I let you hold in plank, which was not necessarily easy, but you did it like a boss. Show me the plank again. Okay, come back up. Okay, so that was hard to keep your legs up there, right? Do you know why? So here's where alignment comes in, and this is all about leverage, but it's also about balance too. If my core is down here, my legs get really heavy because the center is way up here. It's having to hold all of that. If my core is here, my legs weigh very little. Okay? So the belly button always wants to be over the center of the ball. Yes, good. And ideally, it should be right under the center of the bar. Yours is a little bit on this side, but that's okay as long as it's over the center of the bar. If I bring it back here, this gets hard for my upper body. If I bring it down here, that gets hard for my lower body, right? So we start in plank here so we can feel that center. Balance. Power. Up and down between these two. Then we move into flow. And because we have that awareness of the core, now I can do drip down and know where the center of my body is. That's why we keep our arms straight, is it allows the body to stretch out in a balanced way. Whereas if our arms are bent, we do this. And I'm having to hold myself up here. There's no balance here, it's all straight. I'm holding myself up. If I let my arms stay strong and long and straight, then I'm coming down and my body is automatically balanced as it comes over that ball. And then you come all the way down. And to come back, backstage arch. And then, yep, and then, yes, arm straight, beautiful. And then we want to go all the way back into our forward fold because that releases the back in the opposite way. So the beauty of this exercise is that we're flexing the back here, opening the traps, the lats, the middle back, the low back, and then we come under gently, and we let the, yep, good, and we let the back melt over the ball. Now we're arching the back, stretching out the core, the chest. And then when we shift from side to side, then we're getting into the serratus muscles on the ribs, a little bit of the obliques. And hanging, I can feel my low back, quadratus lumborum, relaxing. And then we come up again. Nice. Okay, and so drip all the way down for me. And we're going to get you one of the moves we didn't do yet. We're just going to do 10 so you can feel it. We're going to do leg raises. So you point your toe, right leg is going to raise up as high as you can, and then down again. One. What'd you say? Not both together. That's advanced. That's ninja training.
Yeah, so good.
One leg, yeah. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Good. Other side. Just letting you feel these, not trying to make your work. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Beautiful. And coming up.
That's interesting.
And now we off your ball.
So what is the technique coming up with the legs? The legs just falling down?
Good question. Good question. Do it again for me. Yep. So the legs are too straight there. You don't want them rigid. Come back up.
This is probably good right here.
Uh-huh.
That's what
That's just your
throw myself over.
Scoot down a little bit. Scoot down a little bit. So everybody does that, and it's like it's a perfectly natural thing that the body's doing to try and balance the weight.
It's more the back curling than the legs.
It's all about the back curling allows the body to roll over the ball easily here, and without that, you got to do that to get that like
So, yeah.
up. But if you let the back really relax over the ball, the body comes back far enough.
Yeah, I got you.
So see how there's no struggle in this movement. But if I try to come up here,
Yeah.
there's all kinds of struggle. Yes, yes. That was much better. That was much better. So that kick is going to keep happening, but be conscious of it, and it'll get softer and softer until it doesn't exist. So I want you to be conscious of when you're melting down, your neck doesn't want to relax back. Yeah, and you tend to keep it like this. I want you to try to consciously relax that neck back. That's all right. That's right. Elbow back. Yeah. And then let your head and neck relax with your spine as you melt. Your arms. Better. And so did you feel that jerk on the down? We want soft ins and soft outs. Go ahead and work on making this movement flow.
It's about point right there.
Come up, come up. Could be.
Well, that's
You see
core
where you
strength
follow.
also, isn't it?
It is core strength, but she can rock plank, so she's got plenty of core strength for this. It's an alignment thing. And hold on, wait, sit up straight. I think it's like a ball. It's ball position too, because I'm not sure which position makes it hardest to come up, but I know that when people are having trouble.
Your head
So-
goes up.
Say what?
Yeah, then your head is up.
Right. My head stays relaxed here, and it's when my arms straighten that my head begins to come up. Once my arms get straight, my head comes up, and it leads like I don't think of myself as doing a sit-up, because you're going to do a sit-up motion. I think of the energy of my head going like this, and I feel my spine following, right? And the motion, the muscles that I'm using are not like my core for a sit-up. It's more back here, pulling the tailbone in and down, literally pulling my butt towards the floor. Now my pants are coming off.
Should my arms be straighter here?
Yeah, if you're relaxing all the way, yeah.
There you go.
Okay, so scoot your ball forward just a little bit. A little bit more. Only because that's going to make you coming up easier. Now see if it's easier this time. Okay, come up. Sure. Nice.
I can see the
Go.
problem of tucking the hip under them.
Right, that helped, and moving your ball closer helped also. This is really important. If anybody's struggling on drip down, the first thing you want to do is check the ball position, because you need to get up to see this, Shara.
Hang on.
Nice,
It
nice,
is,
nice.
it is definitely tucking that hip under.
Beautiful.
Okay.
So watch from the side. A huge part of the problem when people are struggling, if they've got everything else functionally right, but they're having trouble coming up, very often a cause of it is their ball is too far back. And what happens is, when I'm coming up, right?
Yeah.
So the further the ball is back, the harder it is to get your core on this side of the ball. So from here, I can't do that same movement I was just doing. I have to go up from here. I'm not able to drop my hips. I'm having to curl and do a sit-up with my hips on top of the ball. But if I move the ball here, now when I come back right here, my weight's now already going that way, and then I can just bring my hips in towards the ground. So that's part of what she was dealing with, is her ball was too far backwards. So on this one move, center position, starting for most things, is right there.
Almost under.
On drip down, a little bit under the bar is perfect. Very nice. And come off the ball. Now you're going to get leg raises in the back. Just feel those as well. We do Superman here. Normally, Superman, the body's straight and the feet are up in the air. This is kind of like a relaxed Superman. Yeah. And the leg raises in the back. One leg, raise it straight up. One, two, don't run anymore. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Good. Other one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9,
Where's the
10.
AC?
Good. All right. So that's rear leg raises. Guess how many of those Shara did last?
Did last one.
Last time she did her max. 300.
You did 300 of each?
leg.
Why?
Because Melissa had done 200 and I couldn't have somebody that's been training less than me do more. And because I never tried, I'm sorry, I just got morning, so it's I never tried to see how many I could do.
She,
You take breaks in between, just,
Like a couple to kind of reposition myself, but.
so it came from one of my new clients. Most people that are doing body juggling are doing it to feel and relax and learn to move beautifully. This client came to burn fat. She wanted to get rid of her flubber. And so I've been using a lot more calisthenic exercises with her and like a lot off of the bar, like push-ups, sit-ups kind of stuff, because those things are really effective for just burning fat. She loves the bar, she likes, whatever, but she's coming to burn the fat. And so say what? Right.
You do, but not as much.
Yeah. And so I started having her do her maxes. People always want to know how many. That's a silly question. If you're doing an exercise, do as many as you can. And then you've got your exercise. And starting at a very early age when I started training myself, I just did as many push-ups as I could every single time I did it. If you're stopping at a number, you're just giving up. It's like, So I started letting her max out on all of her movements. And then she started working way harder. When she had a target, a goal, and she could beat something and feel that way, she started working way harder, and her numbers started going up quicker and quicker, and that was helping her get stronger and stronger. So when we were coming back to the ball stuff, we still kept that, like, how many can you do? How many can you do? So the first time I think she did 100 leg raises. I told Shar, she was like, what? And so then Shar did like 150.
Yeah.
And then Melissa came back and she did 200. Yeah, so.
Did you hear what she said about planks though on Thursday night?
No.
She's like, yeah, so Subtext told me that you did the 100 planks, and I said, screw that, she can have it.
Right.
You do that.
I don't know how. Ever since then, I've only done like.
I was talking to
Yeah.
her mind was occupied. I was talking to her while she did it,
Someone else you were counting.
He was talking, I was counting, but it was distracting enough to where I wasn't feeling the burn. I wasn't thinking about what I was doing. Because I've tried since then, and it's like, by 20, I'm dying. By 40, I'm like, no way.
Right. Okay, so leg raises, front and rear.
Superman?
Right. 5 to 11.
5 to 11. Yes, let's do Superman. I'm not going to have you do a full set of reps, but it'll be really good to feel it, and it's going to be coming at the workshop anyway, and it'll be compared. Okay, so we start Superman, butt up and down.
Is this the right?
Yep, that looks really good. Butt up and down, yeah. Yeah. So notice we started with balance. Now we're doing power. Power always feels weird at first. Creating change always feels weird. But just let it, trust it, good. You're finding how to keep your center over the ball as you're coming up, that's good. Good, now you're going to begin to extend even more. So you're going to come up, and I want you to let your knees go just a little bit behind your core. So you're literally like, yep, good, and then right back down. Don't go too far, but we're going to start to extend those knees backwards so your body can feel the strength of the hips. Yes, good, good. Now we're going to increase that movement. Same thing, you're going to come up. Your feet are going to reach backwards away from you and let your whole body roll down gently. Nice, very nice, good. That's Superman.
You got her good.
Good. Now to reverse, look up. You're going to pull yourself this way, and as you're coming up, nice, ooh, nice, no butt out at all. That was great. Perfect.
This one's got it. Spread your knees a little bit.
Good. Again, you're going to come up, feet go away, down diagonal. Beautiful, nice, soft. And then pulling forward and up. Yes.
Nice. Well, a little bit.
Steady.
Yeah.
I'm counting something.
Yeah, that's what I meant. The difference between a bar and a banister. Nice.
Yeah.
That's all right. Ball, yeah. He crawls a little harder than that. Free crawl.
So
Yes, so the
I feel
butt.
like I'm still.
You feel like you're what?
I still
No, not hardly at all. Like the butt going out on this is hard to get people out of, and it looks like this. And then you get this flop there. It's like that. This is what we want.
I think pulling up over, but we couldn't do it.
Yeah, you can't do it on a banister. Yeah.
And that shoulder strength of the last part of that pull up. This is easy for most people. That
It's the hard. That's like from pull up to push, like
Right.
push up on a bar, where you pull up on a bar and then and then you keep going.
Okay.
Like if you do a pull up on a bar, like you do that, and then have some people extend even more. That's what that move is.
Okay, that was awesome. Now you're gonna go down, and we're gonna do
Down, get off.
down to Superman.
Go down to.
No, see, that was booty out. Up,
Up
that's good. Okay, so now you're gonna begin to learn scorpion. This is gonna be a prep. So you're gonna do pull up, but you're gonna come above the height of the bar. Normally in scorpion we go under. Right now you're gonna do a pull up this way. Yep, and then right back down. Good, 1. Nice, 2. Make sure you come in softly to that. You don't wanna like jar your throat. Clothesline yourself. 3.
It's the low back.
4. 5. 6. 7. 8. 9. And 10. Beautiful. Extend that. Good. Now you're going to split your legs out in both directions and come up to sitting.
Pulling up in the same way.
Yeah.
That way.
Yep, lift your leg. Yep. Booyah!
Nice, a little rockabye.
Called rockabye, and that is an exercise in and of itself. And we use it as a transition, and that's how you just use it. So everything we have poses, and we have transitions. Everything we do is either a pose or a transition. Poses are balance, static. Transition is action, it's movement. One thing to another. Reps is a rep, a pose, or an action. I mean, a pose or a transition. Is a rep a repetition? Is it a pose or is it a transition?
Is it a transition?
Yes, exactly. Reps are all transitions, one place to another. So now, scoot the ball a little bit closer. And I'm just going to let you feel rockabye. This is a great hip opener. And it works like this. Just first the same thing you just did. Legs spread out. Yep. And then reverse.
Whoa, away from me.
No, it's okay. So what you're experiencing there is part of what makes this movement challenging is controlling where the ball is. And the key to that is your knees. So if I spread my legs out as far as I can and I leave my crotch connected to the ball, when I get back to here, I can't really do a good Superman. My feet are on the ground, right? The ball's too close. But if instead of leaving my crotch on the ball, keep my legs straight and I push my knees in, here, my crotch comes off the ball in the middle, and now I'm in a correct position. So the tension that you use in your knees allows you to control how far the ball rolls, okay? And when you put more tension, the ball rolls further. So more tension, the ball's going to get further back and be in better position here. So, okay, here's what
That was less. Okay.
yeah, that was less. That was less. And here's why. Your legs were bent, and your crotch still stayed on the ball. Your legs are bent here. With my legs bent, I can't really push in with my knees. I don't know why, but it doesn't really work. With my legs straight, I can go here and bring my crotch off the ball. Straight. Yep. That was better. That was better.
It's coming back, the ball just shoots forward.
Squeeze more.
You just-
In that case, she needs to not squeeze.
Squeeze
Because
less.
she's saying the ball is moving too far.
Oh, going too far
Yeah.
forward, yeah.
So when you come forward, you're gonna need to squeeze less than when you go back. When you go back, you gotta squeeze more. Nice, nice, nice. Make your legs wider. Yep. Whoa. Where was it? That's there. IQ band, adductor. Good, so get a few more of those and just focus on trying to keep your ball right there. It's right there, so when you go down and come back up, see if you can get it back right there. Okay, so there you're keeping these arms bent to keep yourself in better position.
So you want to go.
Yeah, ideally you want these relaxed and Superman. But right now it's fine for you. Yeah, it's fine. Okay.
But still, I'm still waiting.
Scooch ball backwards. Okay. Now, legs straight, pushing in with your knees, get your crotch off the ball as it goes. You know, your crotch is still on the ball.
Really?
Yep.
Coming back, I wasn't thinking about it.
Will you hop on here and show her? Come and watch her from the front. I don't know why, it just seemed more appropriate for her to be looking at your crotch than mine. And actually, you wouldn't be able to see it because of my hand. So. Okay, so show her with your crotch on the ball, legs relaxed. So that's with the, and see it's too close, so her legs are down, come back up, crotch on the ball. Okay, now switch your ball. And now watch when she does it properly.
Oh.
See how her legs are straight like this, and when she's coming to the middle,
Are you pulling hard with the arms?
not hard, not hard.
It's here, when you're coming up, you're pulling up. Now, it's not so well momentum, but when you're pulling up, yeah, you're using your arms a little bit. Different here is. Sorry, it's automatically going into the next position.
You're coming forward, Toba. Stop and get back. Is that where you started, or do you under?
She's a little bit more
A little bit
forward.
forward.
But if she goes back, she can squeeze her knees and get it right back where it was again. So that pressure of your knees allows you to control where the ball's going.
I can't so much.
No, come back.
That place.
Straight legs.
That's what I was trying to do. I'm like, I was trying to get my project.
Straight legs. There you
It's
go.
not straight.
Yeah, that's
I'm trying to
right.
get my project.
Squeeze.
I'm squeezing.
Squeeze and lift up a little.
Okay, too much thinking.
That was better. You might, there it is.
There you go.
It is.
Everyone is picking up that face and use the picture.
Yeah, right. Hello, new part of the body.
We got a little.
It was all inner.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I doctor. Pulling in. So I was seeing she had a structural issue, but I couldn't figure out what it was. And what I was going to do was just like I told you about with Charlene, I was going to mimic what she was doing in order to feel in my body what I would have to do to not be able to get my crotch up. And then that would have given me the thing.
It's
In the
like-
process of me doing that, she figured it out.
It's like posting on a perchlorine, literally.
Like,
Perchlorine is those huge workhorses with this wide and your legs.
Mhm.
You can post your legs like this, you can post. But when you're up, your legs wide like this, to lift you,
right.
that's a whole other.
So what you were just doing, keep doing that. That in and of itself is an incredible exercise.
too fat, it wasn't every day.
Yeah. I mean, that's like a cable for the whole body.
That is so painful.
Okay. Now let's see how all these principles work together to create choreography, to create seamless flow.
Water.
I'm going to start on the knees. So what I'm going to teach you now is a sequence, which means one movement going into another movement, going into another movement. It's all the same stuff. Everything we're going to do right now, you've already done, but we're going to connect it. Everyone's going to come up, feet go away, Superman. Okay, good. Now do your pull up over the bar. Nice, back to Superman. Good. Now do your rockaway. Come up, split the legs, push the knees in. Good, 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 good. Nice, awesome. Now legs go under and up. Under and up. Under and up. Inverted fold. Nice. And back to sitting. Boom. Awesome. It's your first sequence. Back on your knees.
Now, is there a particular I'm supposed to get back on these?
Doesn't matter. You can do your leg wrap or the off. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4 movements together. Superman. Beautiful. Pull up. Nice. Rockabye. Nice. Inverted fold. Yep, yep. Waited too long on your legs. Made it way harder on yourself. But, okay, and back up. So that waiting, you stopped here. Then when you started to go, you waited too long on your legs. You went way harder. Okay. That is the beginning of flow. Is noticing those places that.
It's definitely.
That's what
So it's
Trying
back.
to think about what it's.
when I was
Right.
demonstrating how I kept coming too far over because my body is naturally trained to automatically go into
Go
inverted
straight
fold.
into inverted fold. Back up to your knees. So now we're gonna do our repetitions.
That's one way of doing it.
I think leg rest is easier than
Keep
that.
trying to figure out how to do it. You guys won't tell me.
No, it's leg wrap.
Leg
You
wrap.
pull around and sit on your foot.
Okay, so now this is the process of repetition. And with those repetitions, the only thing we need to be concerned with is the path of least resistance. Always searching for the path of least resistance. Super rare.
So that means being over the wall.
Being balanced, it means paying attention to your joints and noticing where tension is being created, and then experimenting with your alignment to figure out ways to make that tension be the least, right? There's always going to be tension somewhere in the body when we do anything. Even when we do Tai Chi, that's tension in the body compared to this, because you have to create force in order to move. But we're searching for that least effort, most effortless path. And Superman. Beautiful pull up. Nice. Rockabye and go straight into your inverted fold. Oh!
I was so excited.
No, that's great. That's great. You went with the energy. I love it. I love it. You just got to take your legs up at the same time. It was awesome. Okay, back up on your knees, leg wrap. Wait. Scoot ball forward a little bit.
Leg wrap is.
Foot goes yeah.
There you go.
Almost. There it is. And try to keep those knees separate even when you're coming up from there, because if they're together, you're going to do that and you're going to have trouble stopping. Okay, Superman. Pull up. Nice. Superman. Rockabye. Legs up. Yes.
No. Push.
Sorry. And back to sit. Awesome. Again, notice how it's getting better. All super away. All has to be close to get leg wrap to knees. Booyah.
See how that time, I'm not sure if you're even aware, but you lifted the leg so that you could tuck it under, whereas before you were moving this leg first. So if you hold that leg so you can lift and tuck and then bring it. Yeah.
A little bit of butt out there, that's okay. Pull up. Rockabye. Good fold. Yeah, jeez.
Still not full.
So part of what you're dealing with there, part of what you're dealing with there is when you were learning inverted fold, your ball was in a very specific place. Okay? And so you learn to make that shift and the pushing with the ball in a specific place. When you're coming up from Superman, the ball's not going to necessarily be in that same place. So that's why you're struggling with that.
So I feel like I'm pushing.
Right, not a problem, repetition. You feel it more and more. As you do it more, I'll start to see if your ball is too far forward or too far backwards, and then I'll be able to help you figure out more or less pressure on the knees to get it where you need it to be to make this work. Again.
There you go.
Yeah. Yeah. Nice. Nice. Pull up. Oh, that has
It's that one.
Yeah.
It's not, it's that one's the challenging one.
Yeah. Never try to keep going if your rockabye goes goofy like that. Some people have a lot of trouble keeping their rockabye
You're
centered.
not.
I would just exactly. Shortcut the knees right now. Good thing I was here.
I'm tired.
What time is it?
It's good.
11:15.
Okay, perfect. Nice. Well, so your ball is really far away, but let's see if we can make it work. Right. Nice, nice. Yeah. Yeah, it's too.
Just can't.
It's the ball's not in the right place. Come on. When you were back in Superman. In Superman, your ball should be directly under your neck. Right, that's the center of your body in an ideal position, and that's going to be dependent on where your ball is when you're on your knees.
Where was it? Okay.
It was obviously too far away from the bar because when you were down, I could tell that your ball was under your pelvis instead of here. It's supposed to be under your navel. And so then when you were going to do your rockabye, your ball was too far outside and you're trying to come through here and way too much of your body was down that you can't do inverted fold. The ball has to be underneath you so that you're supported. Okay, so one more time, let's try to get it in the right position. I just want you to feel all of these connect. Nice. Scoot the ball forward. So this one is another one where you want the ball a little bit closer than you normally have it. That looks perfect. And down. Boom, belly button. Beautiful. And pull up. Nice. And rock it. Yes, and vertical. You gotta push. Once you get back here, you gotta push. Push. There you go. There you go. Feel that decision? Once you decide, oh, I'm gonna hold it, then you can do it. And before that, it's like this, like mushy, like.
I think I was forgetting the inverted fold is the plank into it. Isn't
Well, it's, I mean, you don't really stop in plank, but
No, but
you
it.
pass through it.
Yeah.
You pass
It's
through
the
it.
action of the arms being straight and moving, like, which wasn't in there.
Nice.
Okay.
Good. Good job. Let's bring it back
Took a
in.
while.
You're learning. It's supposed to take a while. It's the learning curve.
That's why it's called a process. Otherwise, it'd just be a stamp we could do on the forehead. Done. All right. So what did we learn?
You're asking me?
Yep.
Learn the difference between balance, power, and flow. You're feeling each one, feeling what the balance is, then adding the power, then adding the flow. So you're connecting all three. You're learning how to do a sequence, how to connect the movements, and more just getting more embodied in your own body so you can feel that flow, so you can see when it's done effortlessly in the path of least resistance. You start to feel the flow.
That's one of the most important things we covered in this time is the path of least resistance, and that's how you discover flow. We also covered poses versus transitions. Once you start to see the structure, the whole thing becomes really simple. It's either a pose or transition. It's either balance, power, or flow. You know, like it all starts to go, oh, that makes sense. And then it's just different directions of playing with the body. But once you get that, no matter what direction you move, you know how to find your center, you know how to move, and you know how to release that control and make it fluid.
For me, if I don't have the balance first, though, nothing else.
Right. Exactly.
Of
That's why it's the first step.
Yeah.
That's not over the center.
Yeah, nothing else.
Nothing's working.
It's interesting for me just to sit back and watch and see how you learn, because we learn in very similar ways. Obviously, I probably learned how to learn through you. But so I see like where your inner critic comes up, and how it comes up is exactly how it does for me. It's that kind of like, oh, come on, let's do it right. Like I see it just because I know it. So
Right, exactly, because I didn't see any inner critic.
And I did.
Did you feel inner critic?
At one point, I remember something.
Okay, I didn't really see.
There wasn't much, but there was a couple moments where she was like, okay, let's do this right. Come on. Oh, no, that's not it. Like, oh, and it's the way that I do it. So I see it very clearly. But in general, you were very good at shutting it off and just being like, no, you can do it and try again. And
I know it's a big learning.
yeah. But
Doesn't
again,
have to
I
be.
mean,
Sometimes it's not. There's a
it-
few moments where it's
it-
not a learning curve.
it-
Just kind of.
Yeah, and here's the thing. When you learn anything, you are changing the physical structure of your brain. You are literally changing your neurochemistry when you learn anything. And you're learning acrobatic,
weird.
directional movement, you know? And she learned all of this as fast as anyone that's done it. And she constantly felt like she was struggling and wasn't doing it right and like whatever. But nobody's learned it faster. So it's a
That's
process.
why I do it right the first time.
right. But I mean, like, think of how in the first hour doing side kick, how you were kind of, you know, not figuring it out. And then this time, once you felt the flow of it, it was beautiful. You were nailing it every time.
And it was so
And it was just like,
easy.
Keeping my hips over.
Like you weren't even getting tired doing it. It was just
She wasn't getting tired.
And-
I could
and
tell
that's-
she could have
yeah,
kept going
could've-
easily after a whole hour of working, doing it right. And then it's like, whoa. And that's something that I always talk about too, is every one of these exercises is hard when you learn it. And as you master it, they get easier and easier. And eventually, even the toughest one, you'll just be floating. And we could teach her rollout right now. Like I can see she's got that in her body. That's one of the most acrobatic moves in Dragonfly. But she has it in her body. And it's just breakdowns. It's one piece. Okay, I feel that.
I think why we like this so much, and we were just saying it's like multidimensional. It's like we like swimming so much and being in the water, there's not gravity. And this has that
Right.
flow, and
Right.
you can move all over the. And it's like
Anywhere that you feel flow, where you're not confined by gravity. I mean, there's still gravity, but it's like you're floating. Yeah.
And she was talking to me about scuba diving the first day I met her. And I was like, oh, yeah,
You'll like this.
You'll like
Like
this.
his analogy of floating seaweed. I was like, oh yeah, I know that.
All right, so you ready to go do a real class?
Yeah.
right now,
No,
Do we have a little break?
Yeah, we got
We have an hour.
like an hour.
we can eat or
we're gonna have a bar and then we'll eat after.
Yeah, you don't want to put much in your stomach before you
before I go to this one.
Okay, and so she's going to come to class with us as her 4th hour, and she's going to take it however she needs to, because she's probably already done more work today than her body is used to getting in an average like entire day. And so we're going to do more. So you can just take it wherever you're at, take a break whenever you need to. Don't let yourself struggle. Don't compare, because these girls have been coming for weeks. You know, don't compare. Just let yourself have fun and watch.
Yeah.
Pay attention to what I do in the class and to what Shara does in the class.
Are you
And
demonstrating in the front?
I'm demonstrating and he's walking around and
I'm
talking.
teaching, and the role that she's playing is immensely valuable because I've learned through trying that I cannot effectively teach and demonstrate simultaneously, you know. And so with her at the front, I have a model that keeps the demonstration, that can count, whatever, and I can walk around and carry the energy of the class and add those little nuggets of wisdom.
And that's also another thing that's come to mind for me, like when I'm assisting, when I'm modeling, I'm like, oh, this is really awesome. Like I could see myself doing this. And then it's like, oh wait, but there's not a cell tech. Like, so it should be interesting, you know, when you go back to Fairfield and you start teaching to see if it can, like, obviously it can be done with one person.
Well,
But-
I did it with one person for
Yeah.
a long time, right?
Yeah, well, it's like training one-on-one. It's much easier. It's a total different scenario. Guiding a group through it, trying to teach and demonstrate is very, very difficult.
And if anything, you just, like you'll see today, I do all the reps with everybody, whereas if you're teaching it, you probably would do a couple of reps and then let them finish it, and you're counting and you're walking around. So there's just sort of different ways.
Although we are experimenting now with teaching from the ball, which I think people will learn faster. You'll get more work done. They'll have more fun because of the synergy, because of following that flow. I mean, that was a huge part of Monica really, really enjoying it, was getting to stay inside of that instead of, okay, stop, okay, here's how this works, okay, you're not doing that right, okay, now this, now do this. Now, instead of that, it was like, wee, oh, you know, it's a much different energy. So I don't usually teach that way, but it made perfect sense to me when you did it with Monica, and it worked beautifully. So I want to explore that more.
So by the time you go home, we'll figure it out.
If not, we'll figure out once I get home.
Yep.
Great work.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you. Enjoy
See you guys next time. We will not have a hangout, obviously, for the class, although I'm sure they have Wi-Fi there, and so it's possible that maybe we will have the class. We'll see. We'll just maybe put it on the floor in the corner. But until next time, peace out.
Peace.